Hi, I'm Timothy Alexander White, your host for Bluetooth Television.
And I'm your co-host, Karwanna Dyson, and right now we're bringing you Chef Curtis Aikens.
Good afternoon or good morning, whenever you might be watching this outside. Timothy, give me some, brother. So nice to meet you in person, man. I've listened to you for years on the radio. Karwanna?
Nice to meet you.
You're a whole lot better looking than my brother, but hey now.
Okay, I'm about to get beat up on already.
Never.
Curtis, it's such a pleasure to have you here. Excuse my voice. I've been yelling and screaming and doing things, so I'm losing it. Hopefully you can understand the things that I'm saying. I'm trying to make sure it's at least crisp and clear. But you're here.
I'm loving it.
It's good to see you.
Thank you.
I've heard a lot of things about you, and you do have a reputation.
Well, thank you.
Your reputation is that you are the first African American to
be signed.
Well, that's interesting. The first African American to have a network contract dealing with the culinary. Back in the day with ABC, I was with the Home Show out of Los Angeles in the late '80s. Wow. Am I dating myself here? The late
just
80s,
dating
early,
you, not me.
I'll take that. I'm old and proud of it.
But you look good.
Thank you very much, Karwanna. But I feel good too. You know, it's like living right. I just let go and let the power above take care of it. But that was the first under contract with Good Morning America. First African American, that is, before Emerald took my spot.
Okay.
But it was fun. Then we helped build the Food Network. Emerald, myself, and a few others back in those early '90s. And the last 10 years, I've been kind of retired, semi-retired, raising my kids. So everyone's kind of like, you know how it goes. They kind of pass you by, and they, where you been? I said, raising my children.
Yeah.
My baby just graduated. Now I'm back on the scene.
That's good.
This is my first gig since coming out of semi-retirement. I've done some things. I've done Oprah. I've done Jane Pauley.
Wait. You've done Oprah more than once.
I think three times. Three times.
That's quite an accomplishment.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And she is, well, you just think about the Queen, man. She's like, she's. I mean,
it's like once you're on the Oprah Winfrey Show, then you've kind of
accomplished.
Yeah,
it's intriguing how in the culinary world, Julia Child was one of my mentors. I met Julia and Paul Prudhomme on the same day. I think it was 1989 at a little television station in Atlanta, Georgia. And I said, Miss Child. She goes, Julia, please. And I keep wanting to say Miss Child. Every time I say she, Julia, please. So I finally started calling her Julia. And I asked her, I said, so should I go to culinary school? This was back in the 80s before all this culinary this blew up like it has. She goes, no, with your passion, just cook. And that resonated with me, and that stayed with me, the idea of that passion, And then when I had a chance to meet Oprah and Jane Pauley and some of these other superstars, the fact that it's that passion that takes you. And I try to remind kids or anyone that wants to get into this business or any business is follow that passion. And I still try to follow that passion.
So when did you start cooking? Were you a kid and was in the kitchen then? And
I've always
who did you learn
cooking.
from? Your mom, your dad, your sister, brother?
All of the above.
So about what age did you notice that?
My mother, Laura Bell Aikens, Laura Curtis Aikens, Laura Bell Curtis Aikens. My first name is Curtis, but she was that first teacher. And I remember watching Mama make biscuits, and she would always press her knuckles in. And I always thought she was spelling love. I love L-O-V-E.
That's kind of like a knuckle sandwich.
Yeah, but in the and I always pictured her spelling love. Now, before coming on the trip here, my sister Regina and I were talking about biscuits. Now, we've learned from everybody. Grandmama, granddaddy. My granddaddy was a great farmer. My father used to make fried bologna, right? He's the one.
We make fried
we all
bologna.
have fried bologna,
right?
Yeah,
so I'm like, my inspiration was not to have to burn that bologna like that. So I'd watch Mom. But my sister and I were talking about biscuits, and it's interesting when you talk to your older siblings, their eyes, the way they see things, as opposed to the way you see them, is sometimes totally different. And I remember the biscuits that Mama made, called them biscuits of love, and Regina was talking about grandmama making biscuits, and she called them cat head biscuits.
Never heard of it.
Where you get that from?
Exactly. Cat head. Where you get cat?
Right.
She goes, well, when you do that, she do the three knuckles, it's like a little cat's head. I cracked.
Okay.
I thought that's not the way I saw it at all, right? I saw L-O-V-E. And it was funny, but anyway, that's kind of the thing.
Cat head biscuit.
Cat head biscuit.
That's brand new to me.
Hey, you know them Southern girls are, as Frankie Beverly said, Southern girl.
Yeah, don't you know?
Don't get me singing now.
Now you have your niche or your love is in vegetables, earth food.
Yeah, I like that. I got my start in the produce business when I left Georgia in 1980. came to the Bay Area and listened to KBLX, and this is before
go ahead.
my man here, I remember listening to you, and I think you introduced Smokey and Stevie and all these shows back in the day. I'd go to check that brother out up there, right? And I had a little produce company, so I supplied restaurants in San Francisco up to Fort Bragg with fruits and vegetables. And the way I became known as Chef Curtis, or that happened, was because I'm a self-taught cook, right? One chef would introduce me to another chef and say, hey, this is Chef Curtis who owns a produce company. I'm like, and I learned a long time ago, never correct someone if they're saying something good.
Ride with it.
I'm like, okay.
Just roll with it. Yeah.
So, I went from having one little truck to 3 little trucks and 7 employees, and we just grew this business selling fresh fruits and vegetables. But this was back in the day before a lot of the exotic items like the chanterelle mushrooms, the porcini mushrooms, we're thinking of carambola, any of the numerous fruits that are just popular now, but back then, cats know what to do with them. So, how would you cook it, chef? They would say, how would you cook it, chef? And I said, well, I'm sitting there like, okay, how would Mama do it?
Yeah.
Mama would season it, fry it, or she'd steam it. I said, okay. So I just kind of throwing this stuff out. And these cats were putting it on their menus. And it worked. I'm like, okay, my business was growing, so I kept going. It growing, so I'm going. And next, one thing led to another. You were saying?
I'm thinking about this culinary business. When I go to a restaurant and you get this food, kind of like on the ship sometimes, when they make the food beautiful now.
Right.
And the term, I don't know if you know where the term came from, but fufu. The food is
I thought fufu was an African dish.
Fufu.
What is that? I mean,
well, it's kind of like you're just dressing it up, right? It's frou-frou, but it's interesting. This whole thing about gourmet and frou-frou. I'm trying to remind people in this part of my life, I'm these evolutions that we go through, and I've been blessed. I don't know where it comes from, but I see these trends, and this whole thing about going back to basics is something that we've got to do, taking care of the earth and taking care of where we come from, what we do, sustainability. Right. Now, the truth is, we have always done that. My grandfather was an organic farmer, but he didn't call it that. He was just a farmer.
Right.
He couldn't afford pesticides. Right? He wasn't like the white cat down the street. He had to do with what he did with. So when people talk about this new way of doing things, ain't nothing
it's not new.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what we did.
Organics.
It's organics. My grandfather was an organic farmer. So the term of, and I think to, after leaving San Francisco and I moved to New York, I worked at a place called Balducci's, which is an upscale Italian gourmet market.
Where fufu is king.
Fufu is king, And then when working in the business there, I supplied the UN, Lutece, all these wonderful restaurants that I worked with before getting into television. And I looked at this so-called gourmet. And these are the eyes of a young Curtis Aikens, a younger Curtis Aikens. And I'm looking at this gourmet world, I'm thinking, that's what we did at Granddaddy's house. Yeah. Smoked ham. Prosciutto cotta is like an expensive, smoked expensive ham, right? Like, we did it in the backyard, right? Or free-range chicken, where they're going to charge you $14 a pound for. Grandma, I remember seeing Grandma grab the chicken and get it ready for dinner. I'm like, that's what we grew up on. So I like. That's why I love this festival at sea. Is that I'm with family,
right? And
we can relate to how granddaddies in Mississippi and Alabama and South Carolina and Georgia and Kentucky, how we prepared food. There ain't nothing gourmet about it. That's just the way we grew up. So I'm hoping to, in this next phase of my life, remind us that this is our food. The first chefs were African American, were black people. And one of the things that really gets me now is how I see, and if I'm talking too much, y'all tell me.
No,
you're making this easy.
Oh, thank you, my brother and sister. But this business, this culinary business, it used to be our industry. The porters on trains, the wait staff at great restaurants were brothers and sisters. Now, because how the job situation got, and there was this push to make everyone culinary trained in the culinary as opposed to apprenticeships, and it costs $80,000 some places to go to culinary school. They're pricing us out of the business. Oh, wow. So I really, really want to see a lot of the African American chefs start the apprenticeship programs back. Bring a young kid in, teach him or her how to become a chef, teach them the trade. And I met some wonderful chefs and culinarians on this cruise, and we've talked about the fact that we need to form a network. There's a Black Chef Association, but they're they're having trouble. And one of the thoughts going through my head from this festival at sea is maybe a Sisters and Brothers Culinary Association, Sisters and Brothers in the Culinary Association, so that we can promote young blacks, young people of color in this business, because we're getting priced out of it.
Wow.
You can't, if you're paying $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year to go to culinary school, it will take you a lifetime to pay that money back, because the jobs aren't paying that.
Yeah.
You know, a kid can't come out of school and pay that kind of school loan. So I feel very strongly that it must be my place, since I was one of the first to do this, to say, okay, guys, we gotta unscrew this light bulb and put it in another, get one that does better. And there's some wonderful African American chefs across the country that need our help.
Great.
So I'm looking forward to helping them.
Now, you did an amazing demonstration.
Thank you.
Out in the lobby just a few moments ago. And as you know, we have a lot of health conscious exercise trainers and fitness trainers on the cruise with us. So can you tell us a little bit about, since you're a vegetable earth food man, like some of the natural earth foods that can help us with our health?
Wow, it's amazing. Years ago I did a thing with Slim Fast. Slim Fast called myself, a guy named Harvey Pasternak, who was Halle Berry's trainer. There were like 7 or 8 of us on this panel, and they wanted us just a think tank. And one of the things I came up, this was I think 15 years ago, is the idea of portion control. Okay, so we'll talk about portion first, then I'll talk about some of the vegetables that are fabulous. And I'd like to show everyone that your palm is about the size that your portion should be. And I was telling the audience outside the fact that I have lost over 100 pounds and kept it off because I control the portion.
It's so hard to do that.
Oh, but
discipline.
I don't like portion control.
Discipline.
Come on, Timothy. You guys.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
But it's interesting you say that. The discipline. It's like I say to my son how, you go into training. My son's an athlete. Well, both my kids, but my youngest is going to school to play lacrosse, and it's like, okay, you condition. So even for me, like there are times like when I'm on a cruise like this, if I'm not doing my regular hiking routine, I don't run, I don't lift weights. I'm a hiker. I love to hike in the hills of Marin, and all around the Bay Area. So I got my routine going. So it's conditioning. If we condition ourselves, and the idea of the old 3 squares a day is out the window. It's about, I'm diabetic, so I just signed a deal with Novo Nordisk. After coming out of retirement, this is my first gig. I've signed a deal with Novo Nordisk to promote diabetes awareness. So I'm excited about that. Reverend Ron, a lot of great African Americans deal with this. But the portion control is the key. So instead of having 3 large meals a day, I eat throughout the day. I'll have a small. Yeah. Well, ain't nothing wrong with that. But look at you.
But he eat whole plates.
No, come on now.
Throughout the day, right?
Love it. But yeah, that's the thing. So the idea of, when it comes to diabetes, you don't have those dips. When it comes to getting hungry, you don't have those dips. So we keep a level. And I carry almonds, I carry nuts, I carry things like that with me. So as far as those foods that are good for you, the vegetarians out here on the cruise, nuts are a great source of proteins. Legumes, beans, those kinds of things are great sources of protein. If for a vegetarian who does not know how to get a complete protein, there are 3 things you want to do. You want to do squash, beans, and my mind just went crazy. And rice. That ties up a complete, a complex protein, as opposed to when you just eat one, it's a thin protein. So the 3 tie a whole thing together. So if you wanted to be a vegetarian and not eat any meat to get that complete protein, that's one of the great things to do.
Oh, that's good to know.
Other vegetables that are hearty and good for you, like what I used at the serving earlier, collard greens, are just incredible. And one of the things that I'm hoping to do in this next phase of life is show not just us, African Americans, but everyone, how wonderful that fruit, that vegetable, that green is, collards, because they're so good for the body. So many minerals and nutrients inside a collard green. But we had a tendency to overcook them back in the day. We'd boil them like crazy. So what we did today was kind of a blanch, saute with onions or the flavor, and you eat them with more sustenance in them, more nutrients in them.
So right now, there's a lot of talk that we see when it comes down to food about cancer-fighting foods.
Yes.
So the foods that you just named would be good for...
cruciferous vegetables. All those in that cabbage family, all those hearty green vegetables are great antioxidants and cancer fighters. So those are things... And also things like onions and garlic, they thin the blood. I mean, stuff that mamas and daddies and grandmamas used to feed us. Why? That's why. You know what I mean? You didn't have to take an aspirin a day. You would eat your onions, your garlic.
And you're giving like a lot of knowledge about the foods and the different nutrents. And so is this some of the things that's found in your book?
Oh yeah, this book right here, Curtis Aikens' Guide to the Harvest. It's kind of like the history of a vegetable, where it originated, how it got to the American chef, how to select it when you want to buy it, then how to cook it. So I've got like 200 recipes in the back. And my royalties I donate to reading programs. And on the cruise here, every book that's sold, we're giving part of the proceeds to the sister network. You know, I was so taken by that. I thought that was just, I said, I got to be a part of this.
You mentioned that you started in this business to promote literacy.
Yes.
And is that how you're doing that, by donating money to literacy programs?
It's interesting when we talk about that. I didn't learn to read till I was 26. One of those products of the segregated South. And that's not to say that it was a bad thing, of course, but my brothers and sisters went to school a lot farther in the segregated South than I did. But the message is to remind teachers and educators that no two children learn the same way.
Right, that's right.
So whatever my brothers and sisters being fed wasn't satisfying me. So it took me, at that point, I graduated from high school, went to college, would have graduated from college, played NFL football more than likely, without reading. Went to California on a vacation, man, I fell in love with it. Just Southern California and Northern California. Flipped a coin in Oklahoma City, and Moran been there for 30 years, right? But the idea to promote reading, after I learned to read, I thought, okay, I'm through that. I don't have to worry about that. But you know us.
Yeah.
We get called, right? You know, some guys get in the pulpit, others do a great radio show. Other sisters do, you know, wonderful work. My thing was, all right, let's figure out how to work with this. And I saw Meryl Streep. This was back in, I think, '87. Meryl Streep, the great actor, was talking about the ill effects of alar on apples. I don't know if you guys see. I'm older than you two.
Okay.
Yes, you are.
Thank you. So, Timothy, so and the thing was, like, the light went off in my head. It's like, okay, she's a celebrity. They're listening to her, whether she's talking sense or not. Now, and I love Meryl Streep, don't get me wrong. She's an incredible actor, but I'm thinking, okay, what does she know about pesticides? I know this stuff, right? You know, I'd worked with Joe Carcione, with, like I said, Julia. I'd worked with all these wonderful, wonderful food people. Frida Kaplan, who started the first importing of gourmet produce items into the country. She was something else. So I'm sitting there thinking, now I know this stuff. So how do I make a difference? I got to become a celebrity now. This is how naive I was. But back in the 80s, you could do that, right? I was like, this is before the Food Network, before all those.
Joe Carcione, in a sense, did that too with KBLX Radio. He would come on every morning telling people about the vegetable of the day and what was good and how to cook it and how we should eat it.
So you know Joe, right? My produce company started in that market where he did his segments, his television segments. And every night I would go in, the market would open at 2 o'clock in the morning, so I'd go in and there was Joe sitting there having a cup of coffee. And I started sitting with him. And he would just start feeding you information. Like he was just like his television show, Joe Carcione. And the way he ended was that this is your fresh vegetable tip of the day, right? So when he passed away in, I think it was 85, 86, there was that void in television. So that light went off in my head. I said, okay, now, but I can't do the same thing that Joe did. I got to add something or change something. So, you know, he would tell you how to select it, how to buy it, and sometimes the nutritional content. So I'm like, okay, I can cook. So I added that element, and then it took off. So, but the idea was to be able to make a name for myself, then talk about the fact that I couldn't have done this had I not learned to read. And that's where that's why the royalties aren't mine. The money, the proceeds I give from this book aren't mine, because had it not been for the people that taught me to read, I couldn't have done it anyway. So, boom, we turned that over.
I just have, I think, 2 more questions, and they might be sort of humorous, if you will, but I got to get back to this food, right?
I'm trying to avoid that, y'all. And Bluetooth. By the way, I got to tell you something before. Now, you know, I did do some media training back in the day when they first got me to tell you how to avoid those questions. So, if y'all need some media tips, see Timothy, myself, or Carol, we can help you guys avoid those tough questions. I'm watching you guys on Bluetooth the first day on the cruise. I'm like, I want to be there. I want to be on this show. I was like, you guys are great.
Thank you.
I'm digging this. You know. So anyway, you're gonna ask that tough question.
The food.
Let me get on my.
When the food is on the plate,
right,
you don't get a lot of portion, right?
Correct.
Now, in photography, you use white space in order to make something attractive. So if you've got very little food on the plate, I see the white space,
right?
Which to me helps make the food attractive. And I heard you say today in the demonstration, make it pretty, make it pretty. How important is making it pretty to people that want to taste it? And then
it's interesting. It's,
you know, because we see I shoot food sometimes,
right,
and it looks so good to eat. However, there's a trick to it.
Right.
How important is food looking attractive to appeal to the palate?
I think it all works together. I feel it all works together. Usually the psychobabble, you know, we don't think, we feel, right? And I do work a lot with feelings, but this whole thing, it's the nose, it's the eye, it's the taste buds. They all work in concert. So if something does not look good, it's like, you know, finding that mate. You know, we're attracted to certain things. So the food's got to, for me, it looks good. Now, younger part of my career, I thought, okay, it's about the taste. It was always about the taste buds.
Yeah, because I was going to say, whether it looks good or not, you got to eat.
You got to eat. Right.
But when it looks good, it just helps you spend more money to eat it.
Word, smaller, more, it's less size, more wallet, right? But it's interesting because I think about that, how that evolution, the taste buds are a huge part. But as I grow more mature, I'm not going to say old, but as I get more mature, there's certain things I look for, you know? And for me, and I'm an advocate. I'm an advocate for reading. I'm an advocate for consumerism. I want us to get what we pay for. So I tell people, well, you know, you look around, make sure the place is clean. If the place is not clean, hey, I don't want to eat there. I don't care how good the food might look, but that look that comes out. But if it's not clean, I'll catch you later, right?
Right.
So it's that kind of thing. It's all those things that work in concert. But then if I'm in a place that I see, I smell, I taste, so it all works in concert. So I'm not sure which is most important. Like I said earlier, the younger part of my career was about the taste. You know, let me taste it, right? And there are foods from the Far East that you look at, oh my God, that's ugly, but then you taste it, oh my, that's incredible. So sometimes I have to get past that. As I was saying in the demo, I try not to criticize. I always try to look for something positive in whomever I'm consuming or dining with. But there are times I go, okay, that ain't working. You know, that's when I have to really kind of go step back and reload. But did I answer that question? Did I dodge it?
Pretty much.
Did I dodge?
Because we talked about the wallet and, you know, less food, more wallet. But yes.
So I was going to ask, so for anyone that may not be a cook at home or whatever, and we're talking about good food and how to eat healthy, what is a simple recipe that anybody can start with?
A simple recipe. Simple recipe. Okay.
And your favorite?
In my favorite, I'm just going to a marinade. A marinade that you can use on vegetables and or protein. Okay, is if you don't have this, you can get one of those dry packets of, let's say, like Italian seasoning or Cajun seasoning, any kind of those season mixes that you find at your local supermarket. You can add some olive oil. Okay, so it becomes a wet mixture. Olive oil, and I love juices, whether it's orange juice, lemon juice. You can add that to it to make, and those natural acids help to tenderize the meat. Also the vegetables. So that's a natural marinade that you can put on anything. And what I like to do is when I marinate overnight. Okay, so let that marinate overnight. Then it's great to grill it. You can throw it in the barbecue, as we say in the South. Let's barbecue it, or as we say out west, grill it. Right. So you can grill it, and if it's vegetables, minute. Like I do that 3 to 4 times because you don't want to overcook them. Okay, but I flip them. A lot of chefs say don't flip the vegetables or don't flip the meat. I like to because I like the juices to rise but not come out. And I flip it over so they rise back up, and that whether that's meat or a vegetable. So that's
a basic.
Take the marinade, right? Whether it's an Italian season, Cajun season, if you like something spicy, you can add more to it. If you don't have that, a base marinade, the best 2 seasons in the world, I believe, salt and pepper. Okay, so just salt and pepper on whatever the item is. And some people think that or feel that, there I go, I'm going to make sure I do this what the shrink taught me, right? You got to feel it. The idea, some people feel that when you salt food before you cook it, it takes the moisture out. No. There's more than one way to build a bridge. And the way I've been building this bridge for 30 years, I like it. So I like to season my items before cooking them. but the key is to not overcook. Okay, I had a young woman ask me a question today about a wonderful, great chef who made his television appearance on debut on my show, and she felt like this chef had kind of swung the other way. And I said, well, you got to remember now, we all have things that we want to accomplish, so we can't judge young brother because he has decided to take that road. But each one of us have our own palates and taste buds that we have to take care of. And me, I don't really like food overcooked, but I can't eat anything undercooked. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, here's your book, Curtis Aikens' Guide to the Harvest.
Yeah.
Talk about that for a minute.
Oh, okay.
And I think you can probably see it without zooming in on it.
Well, this book is, it's a book I keep adding to. Each year there's something new that we add to this book. It's how to buy, how to store, the nutritional content, and then recipes for. This one is mostly fruits and vegetables and chicken. There's no beef in this cookbook. I do have a totally vegetarian cookbook called Curtis Cooks with Heart and Soul. When I was doing Isaac Hayes' radio show back in the day, because he brought a book called Heart and Soul. I said, dude, you stole my cookbook. We laughed about that. But a lot of people feel like the character chef was based on my work at the Food Network. And of course, Isaac got the voice to it. I'm like, dude, you stole my gig again. Anyway, so, but this book is, it's like your children. I've got 3 kids, 5 books, and I love them all equally, but for what they are. You know what I mean? It's like, in this book, there's something about it that I just love. It's like the fact that I can open it up, and there's stories about my grandfather, there's stories about okra, how okra came to America in the hull of slave ships like our ancestors, and the contribution that this one vegetable made to the culinary world is immense. And people forget that okra can be used in so many different ways. So I talk about those ways that okra can be used to thicken. It tastes great. You can fry it, you can boil it, you can steam it, all these different ways you can do okra. And here I am getting excited about okra, but
Well, I am too.
I love okra, man.
There's one vegetable, Brussels sprouts, which used to just taste like dirt to me. And I know someone that cooks Brussels sprouts. There's smaller ones, and
you love it.
Garlic, butter, whatever. And I absolutely love that vegetable.
Yeah.
Where I used to didn't want to eat it. It tastes like dirt. I would eat it only because I knew it was healthy for me. I would get past the pleasure of eating it, and now I enjoy it quite a bit.
Well, it's funny you say that, because Brussels sprout, up until the way this, I forget this young man's name, is an African American brother in Berkeley. He did Brussels sprout. And I thought, man, this is good, because I would eat Brussels sprout twice a year just to make sure I still didn't like them.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of like I used to. I don't like this vegetable anymore. Still.
I remember I think about the Leave It to Beaver episode where he had to clear his plate. I don't know if you guys see again.
I remember Leave It to Beaver.
Right, but they had Brussels sprouts on the plate one night, and his dad said, "You can't leave the table to eat the Brussels sprouts." And he's there like all night flipping those Brussels sprouts on the table. But it is a fabulous vegetable, good for us. Again, it's from that cruciferous family. All those antioxidants, all that good stuff that keeps the body moving. But the taste.
Yeah.
Now, I had another question. Now, how important is it for you, if you're doing portion control, how important is it for you to do calorie counting?
That's that $1 million question. Calories are calories, right? You don't want to have empty calories because you get hungry quicker. But I don't count calories. I count portions. Right? And the thing is, being diabetic, and my sugar has been great. My glucose has been great on this cruise, because I'm walking the ship, I'm eating right. So the calories, I'm not as concerned about them. And years ago, we had this conversation. There was another panel we're talking about, and this is before I gained my master's, and I was just working on stuff that I knew from Mama and Daddy, and the fact all of Mama and Daddy and Grandma and Granddaddy and all those, and our ancestors. And when you think about our heritage, we went from working outside, working in the fields, right, sweating it out. Okay, we were hardy, strong people, to being in the office, sitting on our butt, but we were eating the same way. Okay, that's what led to hardening of the arteries and all those things that we got from other parts of the world. So it's like, okay, and it's like, in the light goes in, you go, okay, so if I eat 100 calories, but I burn off 120 calories, I will lose weight. So it really doesn't matter what the calorie count is as long as I'm exercising.
Okay.
Now that's a very simple way of thinking about what's made out to be a complex problem now. But that's one of those rules that I really want to push back to us is to remind us we know the answers. We just have to listen to ourselves.
I think that, and I only got a couple more comments, and then we'll turn this off.
I'm up to you, man. I'm yours. I'm working.
On a cruise, I think a lot of people think that when you go on a cruise, you're going to gain all this weight. But I look at it as when you go on a cruise, you can lose the weight and maintain because you got your fruits, your vegetables, you can eat your servings of fish or chicken or whatever it is.
Right.
It's a great place to start a diet or to start a better eating habit.
Exactly.
Is on a cruise, not to go and gain all the weight.
It's a great way for conditioning.
Yes, it is.
Taking it back to that simple, the fact that like since I've been on here, we got on in New Orleans Sunday, and I love the fact that there's food available, right? But we have to say, okay, and again, this is one of the things that I do every morning. I talk to myself, and I try to teach my children this. And I when I go out and speak with kids across the country, I say to them, guys, and back in the day, they say you were crazy because you talked to yourself. Now you're crazy if you don't talk to yourself, right? So in the mornings, I wake up and go, okay, Curtis Aikens, you're going to be a better man today than you were yesterday. This is what you're going to do today. You know what I mean? So that's one of those things that I really, and the fact that on this cruise, I don't want to overdo it. You know, I don't want to let myself eat till I get sick or not eat because, you know, I'm trying to make this point. So I kind of lay my day out. All right, I'm going to do some reading. I'm going to do some workout. I want to have a little lunch. Then I'm going to go get a little snack. And then the next thing you know, I'm watching Confunction and having a blast. You know?
What was I going to ask? Okay, so people think that eating healthy could be expensive. So what are some of the cost-effective ways that we can eat healthy, some of the things that we can purchase?
That might be the greatest question I've heard, and I'd love to get this to Oprah and say, yeah, this is what we should do, right? The fact is, going back to the beginning. Well, who did the song Going Back to the Basics? No, that was Christina. I was thinking of Janice. You know, Janet had a song where when we go back to what we know. I love cooking for myself. I love cooking for people I love, right? So, oh, girl, you're getting me excited. This is one of those things. This is why I left the Food Network. I'll tell this. You guys get a scoop. I haven't told anyone why I left the Food Network.
Okay.
It was 2001. And I'd been fighting with the network for a couple of years because I wanted to do shows where we taught people how to live on a limited amount of money. This was a prelude to that $5 a day show. It's stuff I wanted to do, right? And I'd been uptown. I'd been at Schoenberg, at a school up in Harlem, and I saw a lot of folks coming in who the food stamp allotment, and they're buying things that aren't healthy. And I said, let's do a show based on the amount that the food stamp allotment is, so we can teach mothers who are on subsistence to how to get the most out of the dollar.
Yeah.
And my thing was like, let's teach them how to cook, how to shop, how to do all those on a budget, right? They didn't want to go for it. But this is back in the year 2000. This is before the network got where it was. And that's why I left, because they didn't want to do that. I said, okay, I've had enough.
Yeah.
I'm going to go raise my kids and we'll roll. So that's where I want to go now. The fact that to eat healthy, to live healthy, we have to shop.
Right.
And I have this program that I'm working on, the fact that we buy the staples. The monthly food stamp allotments were like $460. So that's average about $4 a meal, breakfast, lunch, dinner. You can feed your family great food on that amount of money, but it takes planning, okay? And that's the key to any good meal is preparation. It takes shopping, it takes being organized. Those are the keys. So I lay my weekly budget out. I do my shopping for the staples, and I buy my fresh foods every day. I love going to the grocery store, and I always have. So I go in, I look around, see what's freshest. Usually the most is what's freshest, right? And then I plan my meal accordingly. One night I may have animal protein, one night I may not. And on those nights your budget is even less. So it's one of those things, it's just a matter of shopping right. And I try to tell people, in the book I talk about the fact that buy what you can consume within 3 days. After 3 days you start losing those nutrients, okay? And here, before we wrap it up, I'll give my tips to being a good shopper for fresh foods. 1, use your eyes, look at it, make sure it looks good, even organic produce. 2, smell it. Okay, when fruits are ripe, they give off beautiful sweet smells. Okay, vegetables, when they're past ripe, they get sour. Okay, so look, smell, touch it, feel the item. If tomato is firm, it's too firm, it's not good, unless you want to make fried green tomatoes, right? When a mango is ripe, it has a little give to it. Same thing with a melon. When they're ripe, they have a little give to them. They give off nice blue. So look, see,
smell.
Look, smell, touch, right? Okay. The last two, buy what's in season. Okay. This time of year, we're in, what are we? We're in July. What are we? August. So everything is good right now. We're in the peak. Peaches are still around. Some of the apples come on, bananas, everything right now. So use that nose. The nose is a big one here. Next month, when fall's in full gear, apples are the item. All those fall vegetables on the rise. Apples, pears, those things are beautiful. In the wintertime, less fruits, more root vegetables, carrots, turnips, rutabagas. They're great for us, and we've forgotten how to cook them. Rutabagas are incredible. Peel the rutabaga, boil it, mash it, a little salt, pepper. It's better than mashed potatoes. That's the rutabaga, right? Turnips and oh my goodness, roasted rutabagas. Dude, I'm getting hungry again.
I'm starving right now.
But these are the things that we got. We knew this. We know this. Our bloodlines know this, right? So before we got on the ship, I was reading this article about in Jamaica where their import budget has gone through the roof. And the New York Times wrote a story about that. The fact that in Jamaica they're importing so much food, they're trying to get everyone to start growing at home. That's where we're going. The fact that I want to see those common spaces throughout America. Let's produce food. Let's produce food in those common spaces. Why have a big old yard? Let's grow a garden there. And I'm getting way ahead of myself.
That was the next question I was going to ask you about growing gardens. Like, do you educate on? Do you have a website?
Oh yes, okay. CurtisAikens.com.
CurtisAikens.com.
Right.
And so
Curtis Aikens, www.curtisaikens.com.
And are we able to connect with you and ask questions about, because growing home gardening is something that I want to get into, but I don't know enough knowledge about it. So I want to know what I'm doing.
I'll be happy to school you on that, because that's where I'm going. I just got my master's in May at Dominican University.
Congratulations!
Thank you very much. My next goal is a PhD, and the project that I'm pitching to a couple of schools that I want to do the research on is the fact that neighborhood renewal. I don't want to use the term urban renewal, because black people live everywhere. We don't just live in urban areas. Sometimes I get tired of, not that I love the cities, don't get me wrong, but I'm a country boy. And there's a town in North Georgia called Adairsville, Georgia, where my family's from, my mother's side of the family's from, and the town is just going crazy. And I've got some land there. So nothing is mine. I don't own anything, ideas or whatever it is. And what I want to do, so if someone else sees this, gets this idea, please run with it. The fact that I want to take this family plot that we have, and I've talked with the Georgia Extension Service about the fact that I want to start a garden on this spot with a fruit stand, and start to bring people in that neighborhood to buy fruits and vegetables, to have some income to that neighborhood. So maybe the neighbor next to me will take his or her yard and say, okay, if Curtis could do that right there, why can't we do it too? And then down the line, right? So take this whole, going back to my roots, my agricultural roots. So we can take that land that's sitting there, grow something out of it, then have an education center. The idea being that we could take that from the country to the urban areas, those open spaces. Why can't the mothers in LA or the dads in Oakland take those lots and let's produce something there, and let's sell those fruits and vegetables to the neighborhood, to the schools. So that's where I want to go. I want to see if I can get the research going with that, with the University of Georgia. I'd love to go to UCLA, but UCLA is interesting.
Well, maybe nothing's impossible.
Nothing. Hey, one thing I need some love on that.
You can't just leave them hanging.
I'm gonna sort of wind us down, but
do we have to?
I'm going to mention something, even though I don't think we have time to really elaborate on it, but I wanted to talk about some of the other programs on TV, the food shows, when there's competition. Your show is not necessarily a competition, a competitive type of show, but there are shows on television, they compete with one another. And, I know it's entertainment, it's an hour show, and, they do a lot of stuff, but I think that what I'm hearing is that you're really concerned about the education of people versus the entertainment of what something is to make money for the network and for the channels and stuff like that. So it's been a pleasure talking with you here. I know we can go a lot longer.
I know it, yes.
And one last comment, all this fufu and all these nice foods. I never see a chef show me how to make gourmet cornflakes.
He's still talking about the cornflakes.
I saw that. Here we go. Here's how you gourmet cornflakes.
Okay. Oatmeal, you know what?
Are you ready for the gourmet?
Gourmet cornflakes, fufu cornflakes. All right,
I'm gonna give you a couple of things to do with that gourmet cornflakes. Okay. First off, you can take those cornflakes, right, and grind them up and use them on your seafood or your chicken. You can use that as a cover, a breading for your protein. So you can use that cornflake that way. Okay, little egg wash. Dip them in cornflakes. Okay, boom. There's one for you. Second one, if you want to have a gourmet bowl of cereal, gourmet cornflake cereal. Okay, you call your local produce purveyor and say you want some blood oranges from Spain. It's gonna cost you about $20 an orange. Okay, you slice that $20 orange. Yeah, you slice that $20 orange and put it on there. And next you have yourself some golden raspberries sent from Sweden and put on top of or lingonberry, and there goes your gourmet cornflakes.
Well, you are the first chef that's ever told me how to do gourmet cornflakes.
But the truth is, at Iowa Corn, just make flakes, baby.
All right. Curtis, thanks a lot for being here. It's been a great time. Thanks, Karwanna, again, for your help. Blue Tube Television, Curtis Aikens, Karwanna Dyson. I'm Timothy Alexander White.